What's their biggest need? Because they need quite a lot of things.
So is it? I mean, it's still probably a receiver.
I would lean receiver simply because with absent Marquise Brown, their number one receiver is now Michael Wilson, right?
Yeah, like I still think it's receiver. So when you're going through this, are you going to say, are we ignoring the board entirely and just saying, here's the biggest need, find a player? Like the biggest need's a safety, scroll down to round 2, draft a safety. I don't want to do it that way necessarily.
No, but I mean,
there's got to be some semblance of like who's going to get picked in the whole thing.
I mean, generally speaking, I think you're unlikely to pull in. The biggest need being a safety is probably tough to do. Secondary.
Like if you said tight end was their biggest need, we're just like, all right, Brock Bowers. We're not going to do that.
No, but a team like the Cardinals, yeah, you can give them the entirety of defense pretty much.
No, that's true.
That's a big need.
That's true.
But
I think we have to have some sort of
I think
value.
If you can, Marvin Harrison is the top player on the board. If you can get the Marvin Harrison that fit a team need, I think that makes sense. And for the Cardinals, they desperately need a number one wide receiver, given that they don't have one and they have the quarterback. So Marvin Harrison makes sense.
That's the lens to view it from. Like we're more saying no best player available here. Let's fill a need. It doesn't have to be here's the top need. Let's make sure we pick a player.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go Marvin Harrison Jr.
Still the best receiver for you? Not overthinking him yet? We got time.
Yeah, he's still the best.
You got like a month to overthink him.
No, we had the receiver rankings show, parts 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Last week. And I think for Marvin Harrison Jr., he's so good at a lot of different things.
People were big mad about the Jamar Chase foul up.
Yeah, you screwed up. It was like a
mistake. It was an error. Error in judgment.
But you personally kind of forgot that he ran in the 4.3s.
Yes.
The point we were trying to make is, before he even ran, he was so good at playing football. I didn't even think about, this guy runs 4.3. I don't think he looked like he ran 4.3 in college.
No, I didn't.
That was the point I was trying to make. He was so good at everything. I would have drafted him in the top 5 or whatever anyway. And then on top of that, he ran 4.3, and it's like, he's so good at everything receiver-driven, and maybe he's even more explosive than I thought. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has elements of, doesn't look as explosive as Malik Neighbors, doesn't look as explosive as some of the other guys who ran faster, but he's so good at everything else receiver-related, so he's fine.
Evidently, he is way more explosive than he looked on tape. I do think that people are refitting that a little bit. Having seen all of his explosive numbers, they're sort of retrofitting the tape and going, wow, look. It's not like explosive in this term does not mean can't make big plays. Explosive means do you look like you visibly run a 4.3 flat and jump out of the gym.
His plays, like Jamar Chase's plays, like everybody's got these highlight reel plays in their head. The highlight reel plays for me in Jamar Chase is he's got a cornerback stacked, got that half step on him.
Like at the catch point.
Half step on him, and he's just winning.
Right.
I remember, Jordy Nelson and Antonio Brown. I went through all these comps for Jamar Chase because those guys just knew how to win at the catch point, knew how to separate late. Jamar Chase had that. He was not 2 steps behind the defender.
Right. Like Tyreek Hill
that often.
looks explosive on the count of being maybe the most explosive receiver in the NFL. But like
runs
the tape,
past everybody, runs by
you look
everybody.
At the tape, not just that, but like the springiness, the sheer physical, twitchy explosiveness. Like Tyreek Hill, obviously that jumps out of his tape. I don't think it did for Jamar Chase. But anyway, obviously he has that explosiveness as judged by his 40 time and other measurables. The point being, there are receivers that fit that mold, right? That run a 4.5 or a 4.6 and yet are capable of making all the plays.
So we're going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals at 3. Seattle Seahawks next on the board.
Yep.
Now, Fontenot was going to be the guy there. Supposedly, Mike McDonald said we don't want to draft guards in the first round. I'm secondhand information here. So
doesn't sound like something they would say out loud.
Doesn't sound like it. I think edge has been a massive need for the Seahawks for a few years now, but they have bodies there.
Yeah, it's another one of these. Uchenna Nwosu is okay. Boye Mafe took a step forward last year. They're both solid. Neither one of them is a superstar. Then you've got Darrell Taylor, Derek Hall, who they drafted. It's definitely
they've spent a lot of 3 second-round picks over there in the last 4 or 5 years.
It's definitely. You're right. They've added people. It's just none of them have really done what they needed them to.
Most of the holes are on the offensive line. Depending on what you think of Oluwatimi, second-year player, who's the center out of Michigan. You could argue there's a starting center out there in the first round. It's
hard to look at this and not think that guard or interior period is a need.
So what we have right now is McClendon Curtis, Oluwatimi, Anthony Bradford,
Yes.
Nick Harris as a backup center. But those are the 3 starters on the interior for Seattle.
Yeah, it's difficult to look at that and not conclude that the interior of the offensive line is the biggest need on this team.
So with that in mind,
There's
now
another
tackles,
team, by the way, where safety could be.
yeah, but there's just no safety on the board.
Friend of the show, Julian Love, obviously there.
There's no safety on the board here. Sure. So it's interesting that the tackles keep falling.
Yep.
In this needs-based draft because you're considering positional value a little bit less in that world.
Uh-huh.
There's none of the tackles right now. Fuaga, Fashanu, J.C. Latham. I mean, J.C. Latham, you liked him as a guard.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask.
Mims.
Are there, which of these guys, because this happens, reasonably regularly, are there tackles that you would take and kick them inside, at least to start their career?
I think J.C. Latham could do that. Someone else pointed out to me that Abe Lucas might have long-term injury concerns. It was just spoken to me. I don't know anything about that. So
You're just a whole world of hearsay today.
a lot of hearsay with Seattle. That's what we do. So I don't know. Is J.C. Latham a guy that you could bring in there and put him in a guard? It's not going to look right in our needs-based mock without a little explanation. Yeah, we're going to put Latham at guard.
Sure.
It's easier to say Jackson Powers Johnson because Oluwatimi was a 6th rounder? 5th rounder last year. You're not necessarily saying, of course, he's going to be the starter.
Yeah,
with his 191 career snaps.
We joke though that the graphic is better when you have no context and you're just throwing it out there.
Oh, they were content creators.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Jackson Powers Johnson versus J.C. Latham and play McGuard.
I would just stick with Jackson Powers Johnson.
You coward.
Yeah. JPJ.
JPJ.
To the Seahawks at 16.
16. It's rich for center. Los Angeles Rams on the clock at pick number 19 with Olu Fashanu on the board.
Left tackle.
Somebody said that DJ had put Fuaga above Joe Alt on his latest top 50. That dude's stock has just been going up all the way through.
Yeah, Fuaga and Latu are 2 guys, like I said, who are early, like preseason model, way before the hype guys.
Model watch list?
Yes, which is good for me.
Sure.
The model identifiers. I call that the first round identifier list. The model's doing a pretty good job of pulling those guys out before anybody's talking about them. And then the first person to really talk about Fuaga that I know of was Trevor.
Yeah.
Here at PFF. Right?
Yeah.
And I know PFF grades have been out there for Fuaga. I mean, he had monster run block grades and everything. So
right.
Yeah, it's not crazy. I mean, I think it's crazy because Alt is awesome, but it's not. Statistically, it's not model crazy. Fuaga's right up there.
Model crazy. So if you're the Rams, would you just take Fashanu or would you take Fuaga and move him to the left side?
No. I mean, I talk a lot. We talk a lot about moving guys from the left to the right side. I think there's always some inherent risk there. And historically, have any right tackle, any college right tackles moved
to the other side,
to left tackle in the NFL? The guy that I can think of is Jedrick Wills.
Right.
With Alabama. And at the time, we were thinking, hey, the Browns, they're open to this thing that hasn't happened previously because if guys move from the left to the right, why can't they move from the right to the left? And Jedrick Wills has not been great.
I'm sure it's happened, but I can't think of examples.
Yeah. I mean, I cited the Trent Brown example the other day where literally every 2 or 3 years he just flips.
Between them.
And he was a guard in college.
Yeah.
And he was recently talking about, like, man, they screwed me over. They had me at guard. What are they thinking? I'm an NFL tackle. But I don't know of any
it's definitely not
college
common.
Right tackles that have moved to the left.
It's definitely not common, generally speaking, because teams will have the best pass blocking guy at the left side. So if you have a guy seen as an elite player on the right side, they're generally not there because they're the best pass blocker. They're there they just happen to have developed into a great player from the right side, and teams are not going to move them to the other side. I don't know. I feel like it has happened. I just can't think of too many examples. Tyron Smith did it for a while. Somebody in the chat pointed that out as well. He played both, right, at USC.
Who did?
Tyron Smith. Zach Bacon in the chat points that out. He definitely had spent time on both sides of the line in college, but I think he was left tackle by the time
he also played right tackle his first year in the NFL.
Yes.
Before he moved.
Right.
So Tyron might have played both. Like Jonah Williams played both in college.
I think a lot of guys have played both.
Right. A lot of guys started at right tackle, finished at left tackle, then went to the NFL.
Yeah.
There was someone else I just had, just lost his name. Someone else did that. Anyway, I like the idea of Fashanu as the pure left tackle going to the Rams here.
Cool.
for their left tackle spot.
I love Fashanu. I think he's being slept on at the moment.
Again, I'm surprised by that. I did not expect that come draft season.
Now, here we go.
Arizona.
Arizona. Pick number C. It all works out in the end.
Any level of pass rusher defensive presence.
Yes. Any defensive player, frankly, is a need for Arizona.
Dallas Turner to pair with
the Barbarian.
Dallas Turner to Arizona.
Now you got Dallas and the Barbarian. It's like a buddy cop movie.
Look at this. Eli, it's tough to keep up now. We're now picks fly. Like sometimes they just fly off the board.
It's like, yeah. It's just
so
like the draft.
Wiggins to the Bucks.
Yep.
Dallas Turner, edge rusher out of Alabama.
Easy.
To the Arizona Cardinals. That puts the Bills up on the clock here.
Buffalo.
What's their biggest need?
It's another team that doesn't tend to have too many glaring needs.
Even in an offseason where they've had turnover, though.
I mean, I don't think wide receiver is a need because they got Khalil Shakir, they signed Curtis Samuel, and then they've got all the guys you love as just random mass players on the roster. Matt Collins, KJ Hamler, etc.
Oh, my gosh. What a unbelievable receiving core.
Right.
The depth. Any others that I loved? No.
Defensive tackle, they've got Daquan Jones back and Ed Oliver. Edge rusher, they've got Greg Rousseau, Von Miller. They're stuck with him. AJ Epinesa. Corner, they re-signed Rasul Douglas. Christian Benford has been the guy. They re-signed Teron Johnson to a big contract.
They have their starters are all starting.
Both safeties.
Their starters are starting. They're starting. No, they have Mike Edwards. They just brought in.
They have Mike Edwards and they have Taylor Rapp and DeMar Hamlin still there. So safety. I mean, this is not a team with a ton of needs. Matt Milano's coming back. Terrell Bernard, Nicholas Moreau at linebacker. I mean,
I would say in the spirit of this mock draft, they just pass.
They pass on their pick. They trade out of the first round.
They're going to trade down.
Okay. They trade out of the first round.
Okay, so Arizona at pick 35 has a million needs.
There you go. Look at this. This is teamwork here.
Arizona still has what's let's go back to Arizona. What's their biggest need? Concoct a trade.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Arizona has brought in Marvin Harrison Jr.
and
Dallas Turner, which on paper is going to look like, wow, they got 2 top 8 players. That's insane.
Right. So any of these teams at the top of the second round. The Carolina Panthers, pick 33. Arizona, 35.
Arizona should come up and get Kool-Aid. Starting corner.
Okay, let's do this. This is easy. Look at this. All right. Trade. Arizona. Where are they? There they are. Arizona.
What else are we going to get for them?
35, 28. What's that going to cost you?
So Buffalo's trading 28 to Arizona's 35. And you got to throw in probably
138, 104.
138? Yeah, try 138.
Offer trade. They're not interested in this trade. Trade accepted. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
That works.
Yeah. So Buffalo's going to pick up, what's that, a 4th?
Whatever 138 is.
Whatever 138 is to drop. We should have that with it. To drop 7 spots to 35.
Yes.
So Arizona's now on the clock.
So having solved their needs.
Because Buffalo has no needs.
Perfect.
They're trading out in this need-based mock. We're going to have to do the same thing with the Lions.
And then Arizona drafts Kool-Aid.
Arizona's taking Kool-Aid McKinstry.
This couldn't be working any better. 49ers, their weakness. Is that offensive line as well?
Yeah, I think. Well, they brought in John Feliciano at guard. I mean, they're all starters that they like. Aaron Banks.
Or at least have been comfortable with going with in the past.
Yeah, I mean, they made it to the Super Bowl and had great offense.
You could surely replace Colton McKivitz fairly acutely, right?
At right tackle?
Yeah.
No, he's a starter. I mean, if he's as much a starter as Trent Brown is for the Bengals.
Then it's Ambry Thomas, the other corner spot. Lenore, I guess, is there. Like,
the corner spot might be good.
I mean, it's tackle or corner, right? I guess defensive tackle, given that the guys they brought in this year aren't
Javon
good.
Hargrave, but complemented by Malik Collins, Kevin Gibbons, Jordan Elliott. It's all
guys that grade in the 40s.
They're higher than that, but there's no real defensive interior players here until we go to Braden Fisk.
Oh,
dude, he keeps moving up this offseason.
First rounder.
Model identifier. Knew about him.
So, okay, 3 spots. You go tackle, you go corner, you go safety. One of those 3.
Do you do receiver just because Ayuk might be on the trading block?
No.
Why?
Ayuk. Because you have Ayuk, you have Juwan Jennings, you have Debo, you've got... No, you can't. It's not a need. And they run less.
So you think corner?
Yeah. It's corner, tackle, or safety. One of those 3.
All right, so next on the board, we have tackle Tyler Guyton, who Did I just knock the? Did I knock the mic out again?
I don't know.
No. Did you? Tyler Guyton.
Yeah.
And then the next corner, I like TJ Tampa, man. I mean, Mel had him in his first round out of Iowa State. Saw him play live.
You did.
I don't know if you've heard that. I'm not sure if you've heard. I saw TJ Tampa
Only
live.
every time we discuss him.
That's I promise I will not let you forget.
No.
Wait till we talk Ray Davis.
Great.
Okay. What are we doing?
Either tackle, corner, or safety.
Doing Guyton.
Guyton.
Developmental tackle.
Tyler Guyton.
Love that.
Developmental tackle.
I love that.